Hello my beautiful people, welcome to today's video. I present to you some Ennotana. To be honest, I have just started shipping them recently because I don't see Tanaka with anyone but Kyoko, to be honest. I think this relationship would last throughout high school, a couple years outside of school, and they would probably split, hence Tanaka getting with Kyoko and marrying her. I hate the idea of breakups, especially with my ships, but these two I just feel like they would, and it would never end on bad terms. Anyways, enjoy. Also, if anyone wants to kindly help me save, here is my email for my PayPal. Love. It's been 2 days and every day the boys have gone down to the beach and played games after games. So much so that the coaches agreed to send them home if any of them so far as looked in the direction of a volleyball. They came here for a break, yet there they were absolutely drained, dragging themselves back from the beach at nightfall. Oh, remember all of you guys. No more matches for the last 2 days. Grunts and nods fell in the direction of UK. Tanaka was the first to move from the couch. Good night y'all. MHMM. Good night. Night. Sleep well my dude. Tanaka made his way up the stairs slowly and quietly. The large red carpeted staircase led to a hallway of white doors. He grabbed the card from his pocket. Walking a few doors from the stairs, he stopped in front of the door that read the number 11, encased in cursive gold. It took him a few tries swiping the card before it flashed green with a sound of a click. He pushed the door open, being as gentle as possible, not wanting to wake Ennotana, who was fast asleep under the covers of their shared bed. Everyone had a choice to either share a bed or sleep on the floor, was how Coach UK put it. It was cheaper this way. It costs extra for a double room or extra beds. UK left it up to everyone to share a room with. Tanaka would have shared with Noya, but all the couples of the teams decided to pair up, which was understandable. Plus Tanaka wanted to hang out with Ennotana a lot more this break, so it was perfect for him. Tanaka made his way to the bathroom, closing the door before turning the light on just to make sure he didn't disturb Ennotana. He washed his face with cold water, turning to stare at the shower. He knew if he got in he was going to end up falling asleep in the shower. I'll save it for the morning, he mumbled, switching the light off and walking out of the bathroom. He walked over to the bed, throwing his shirt off to the side. He kicked off his swim shorts, leaving him in his boxer briefs. He gently lifted the corner of the blanket sitting on the sheets. Ennotana stirred in his sleep, rolling over facing Tanaka's back. Tanaka leant against the wall, his legs shifting under the blanket. He watched fondly of the sleeping boy as his breaths came slow and steady, soft breaths breaking from his lips as his nose twitched. Hum. Tanaka giggled as he reached down softly, moving a strand of hair from Ennotana's face, smiling as his nose twitched in his sleep again. He pushed a strand of hair from his face, his thumb gliding over his cheek gently. He watched as Ennotana shifted in his sleep, his arm resting over Tanaka's lap and lightly squeezing his waist. Tanaka smiled. He was definitely teasing him about this in the morning, but he won't bring up the way his stomach filled with butterflies, his cheeks burning red with the way his heart sped up at the closeness. Tanaka smiled, resting his head against the wall. Ennotana looks too comfortable to wake him, so he was fine sleeping like this. Tanaka let his eyes slowly open. The sound of waves crashing on shore filled the room, the draped lace curtains swaying with the wind a few feet from the bed. The cold air with the smell of ocean water filled Tanaka's senses, along with the way Ennotana was no longer clinging to him, although he was still facing him. Just more space had been put between them. Tanaka looked at the digital clock that rested next to him on a bedside table. 7:30 a.m. the neon blue numbers read. He sighed out how early that was, way too early. He slid down into the bed, his back aching slightly, adjusting from leaning against a wall for a few hours to soft memory foam. Tanaka let his back arch slightly, earning a satisfying pop along with a grunt and gasp. He turned on his side, admiring Ennotana's face up close. He'd never noticed that he had a small beauty mark at the top of his lip. It rested perfectly on the corner of his lip. He'd never noticed how soft his lips look either. He had never thought about any of the things that started going through his mind until Ennotana. Tanaka was about to rest his eyes for a few more hours or minutes, but just as he closed his eyes, Ennotana fluttered open. Oh, good morning. Ennotana just woke up and smiled, giving a warm hum in response. And god did it make Tanaka smile, lil an idiot. Tanaka watched as Enoshita rolled onto his back doing the same stretch he did earlier. The small whimpered grunt that Enoshita let out sent a wave of shock through Tanaka's brain. Why was that hot? Why was that hot? Was that hot? You okay? Enoshita spoke quietly. His morning voice was softer than usual and it was melting away in Tanaka's brain. Tanaka? Without thinking, Tanaka faced Enoshita and just simply asked. Say my name. Tan. No, my first name. Ryunosuke. The soft sound of Enoshita's voice hit him as softly as the wind that danced its way from the curtains up his arms, sending a shiver of goosebumps. Ha, nice. Why? Oh, it's just that most people actually pronounce my name wrong, so I just wanted to see if you could say it correctly the first time round. He lied. Oh, well, did I pronounce it correctly? You sure did. He shot Enoshita a grin, shifting himself off the bed as he walked over to the balcony doors. Don't close them, I'm enjoying the breeze. Enoshita mumbled from the bed as he stretched again. Wasn't planning on it. Tanaka turned around, leaning against the door, watching Enoshita kick the blankets off his body. Tanaka smiled at him as he laid in amongst a heap of white blankets. The sunlight began spreading through the room. You should come look at the sunrise. Tanaka waited for Enoshita to roll out of bed and walk towards him. Tanaka felt his heart skip a beat as Enoshita stood in front of Tanaka. A ray of golden sun hit the side of Enoshita's face, highlighting that beauty mark at the corner of his lip that Tanaka started thinking more and more about. I never knew that. Tanaka let his thumb trace over the beauty mark, his thumb trailing down to his bottom lip. Enoshita felt his heart thump loudly in his throat. He knew he liked Tanaka, but he knew that Tanaka would have no interest in him, and he accepted that he knew his feelings would subside eventually. He even tried distancing himself, but it was like Tanaka was his magnet, personally made for him. No matter how he felt, he couldn't get away. He was always there. And now his thumb was resting on his bottom lip. What could he do now? His thoughts were all over the place. He pulled away from Tanaka's touch, heading past him, and breathed in the fresh morning air, closing his eyes as he listened to the waves, calming his nerves as his heart was still beating rapidly, his grip on the rails tightening as he felt Tanaka's body press against his. Enoshita, I don't. Tanaka figured out why he had been feeling so captivated towards Enoshita. It was the same feeling he felt when he was around Kyoko, which is why it made so much sense. But he just kept pushing the idea away because he'd never felt this way about any boy. It had never been on his mind, not even when most his teammates started getting together. But this last year, the thoughts he had to push far down and drown in self-denial. Enoshita could feel Tanaka's heart beating on his back. It made his own speed back up. His breath hitching. The words he wanted to say was no longer lingering in his head. He shivered at the way Tanaka ran his fingers up his arm, leaving a trail of goosebumps. He felt Enoshita push back into his touch as he placed his hand lightly on his hips. Tanaka leaned into Enoshita's neck. He felt Enoshita slightly tilt his head to the side. He hesitantly placed a light kiss on his shoulder. Enoshita let out a long sigh. Tanaka moving the soft kisses along Enoshita's collarbone. Neither of them knew where this was going, but it felt too good to stop. Enoshita threw his head back when Tanaka nipped at his neck, nipping gently before soothing it with a wet kiss. Ryunosuke. Tanaka spun Enoshita around by his waist, faces closer than expected. Both of them looked flustered. That beauty mark looked even more stunning to Tanaka. Oh fuck it. He pulled Enoshita in closer, if that was even possible at this point. Their noses brush against one another as their lips meet in a rough yet passionate kiss. Enoshita hands lightly pulling Tanaka's head down for more as Tanaka pulled him in. They breathed deep through their noses as Enoshita felt himself involuntarily grind against Tanaka's leg. Enoshita pulled away, pushing at Tanaka's chest, turning his head without making eye contact at all. Wow, yo, you're a really good kisser. You too. So? I am going to take a shower. Enoshita walked past Tanaka, leaving him to the view of the ocean and sunrise and surfers carrying large boards walking towards the water. He threw his back, closing his eyes as the kiss replayed over in his head. Fuck. He walked back to the room, hearing the sound of the shower. He walked over to the door knocking and he heard a lot of shuffling and the door click. Ennotana opened the door, towel wrapped around his waist, the steam from the shower still pouring from the water fogging up the mirror. Did you need the shower? Ennotana looked up at him as if they hadn't just made out seconds before. No, I was just letting you know I'm heading downstairs. Did you want anything to eat? No, I'll come down once I'm done. Okay. Before Tanaka could say anything else, he slammed the door shut, leaving him blankly staring at the door. No, we're not allowed. They won't know. You two know means no. Stop acting like 5-year-olds. But what's going on here? These two want a quick game before the coaches wake, but I genuinely think we should have the time we have left here to just relax now. Yeah, come on guys, that's reasonable. Daichi sipped coffee from his mug as he handed Sugoro a white mug steaming with fresh coffee. Thank you. Suga placed a kiss on Dachi's cheek before walking towards Iwaizumi and Oikawa in the shared living room area. Where is everyone? Still sleeping. It's Maki and Matsun, right? Yup. Tanaka? Yeah. He nodded, walking over to the coffee, reaching for a cup in the cupboard filled with white mugs. He poured the steaming liquid into his cup. So are you two together? He pulled his gaze from the cup for a moment as he asked. Yeah, we are. Why do you ask? Maki leant against the bench as Tanaka leant against the cupboard sipping from his mug. He grimaced, pulling the mug away from his face, playing with his tongue in his mouth at the bitter taste. Man, Dachi makes strong coffee. He looked up at the two who were still waiting on an answer. Oh, HAA. Well, last time I saw you guys, you were just like best friends, nothing more. Well, I mean, yeah, we are still very much best friends, but turns out you can fall in love with your best friend. Yeah, I know. Tanaka laughed awkwardly. Wait, who's your best friend? Nah, but I could never see him like that, he's like my brother. Oh yeah, you like Kyoko, right? The manager? Tanaka hesitated as he made eye contact with Ennotana, who was walking down the stairs. Yeah, I mean, it's always been her. Tanaka felt weird even hesitating or doubting his feelings towards Kyoko, but it felt like he was lying to himself. How was the shower? Tanaka followed Ennotana with his eyes as he walked over to the cupboard, grabbing a mug, pouring some coffee. Maki and Matsun looked at each other, smiling. Hey Tanaka. Yeah. You'll figure it out, but by the looks of it you already have, no? Maki raised an eyebrow, pointing at Ennotana. A small purplish mark stained on his neck. Matsun giggled, taking a sip of his coffee and pulling Maki by the waist, walking together towards the stairs. Tanaka blushed red, watching as the two make their way back up the stairs. Figure what out? Huh. Ennotana leant against the bench behind him, watching Tanaka awkwardly scratch the back of his neck. Look, I don't want you to stress over what happened before we can both forget about it. Ennotana walked up to Tanaka, giving him a small smile. He patted his back and walked over to Suga Daichi, who were in a deep conversation with Oikawa and Iwaizumi. Ugh. Tanaka groaned, grabbing a recyclable coffee cup, pouring the liquid from his mug. Aggressively pulling a coffee cup lid from the stack and heading back upstairs, he placed the cup down on the bedside table. He was about to make the bed, but Ennotana beat him to it. He smiled, walking to the shower. He turned it on, leaving the hot water to run for a while. Oh no. He ran back to the bathroom, shutting the water off. He ran out the door and down the hall, stopping at the door reading 7 in the same gold cursive. He knocked loudly a few times until a very tired Asahi opened the door. His hair a mess. His eyes barely open. He swayed, looking at Tanaka. He didn't even say anything. He just opened the door more, allowing Tanaka in. Sorry for waking you. Asahi gave a soft hum as he dragged himself back to the bed, instantly hugging back into a heap of blankets. Tanaka walked over to the balcony. He could see Noya sitting on a white upholstered velvet accent armchair. He had his laptop set up on the second chair facing him, playing some YouTube ASMR. While he had his Nintendo Switch, he looked up from whatever game he was playing. Oh hey bro, what are you doing here? I made out with someone. What? Noah dropped his switch, ignoring the fact it dropped on concrete. What, your hand? Your pillow? Noah. Sorry, hahaha, but seriously, who? Ennotana. No fucking way. Yeah. Wow. Told you. Asahi grumbled from the bed. He walked over to Tanaka and Asahi. He smiled, leaning down, placing a kiss on Nishinoya's forehead. He patted Tanaka on the shoulder. I'm glad you've finally figured it out. He walked off to the bathroom door. Okay, what in the actual, I mean, sure it was suspected, but. Noah jumped from his seat, looking baffled. Suspected? Well, yeah, everyone has noticed you two got a little close. Yeah, but as friends. Obviously that didn't go as planned. Seriously, the way you two have been pinning over each other the last couple of months is shocking. At first it was cute, I mean it still is, but geez. Like, figure it out already. I'm happy for you, bro. Tanaka listened to Noah ramble on for a few seconds before shushing him. What do I do? He sounded more frantic this time, speaking like a 2-year-old who was about to break down over a toy. Do you like him? Yes. Do you want to be with him the way you want to be with Kyoko? Silence filled the air, tension rising hot to his cheeks at the question. Because truthfully he wanted to hold and care for Ennotana the way he would dream about Kyoko. But this feeling towards another was so Yeah man, I do. He sat down on the chair, lifting Noah's laptop from the chair, making sure not to sit on it. So what are you doing? He told me to forget about it, so I don't know. I think you know. Noah pointed down by the beach in the distance. Ennotana ran with what looked like seaweed in his hand, chasing a lev. Yaku was on the sand, basically rolling in a fit of laughter, while Kenma was recording Kiru laying on a beach towel. Okoa and Suga were building a sand castle that was short-lived as Iwaizumi and Daichi threw rocks at the tower from where they were sitting. In front of everyone? Hell yeah, dude. Go for it. Noah. What? I should go then. Yay. Is Tanaka gone? Yeah, he's leaving. Get in here. Tanaka looked kinda repulsed as Noah smirked, slapping him on the back, running towards the bathroom door. Tanaka quickly evacuated the hotel room and headed straight to his. He headed for the shower, sighing as he stepped under the hot water. Come on, enough please. Yaku, tell him to stop. Lev cried out. Ennotana threw the green sludge back towards the crystal blue water. He watched as the water bounced around the spring. Green fern-like leaves branch out, following the ripples of water at impact. Ennotana. He was snapped from his gaze as he heard a familiar voice behind him in the distance. He turned to see Tanaka jogging towards him. Sunglasses sat on his head. He wore a yellow flowered summer button-up and white shorts tied in a knot at the front, 3 gray stripes stretching along the waist to the thigh area. Chikara. What's up? I know you told me to leave it, but I can. No. Stop, we can't. I can't. He frowned, turning his gaze from Tanaka. Look, I know I like you, Ryunosuke. There is no doubt in my mind. But you're saying you like me, but do you? I do. I can't give my entire heart to someone who is only going to give me half of theirs. Ennotana met Tanaka's gaze as it softened. They stared at each other. It felt as if this conversation was on a time limit. What do you mean? Ennotana made contact with Kyoko, who gave a small wave. Tanaka followed his gaze over to the young women reading a magazine under a beach umbrella shared with Yachi. No. Please, I'm ready to face the fact that isn't going to happen, please. Ennotana, you have to believe me, really. Look, I know I'm like not the smartest person when it comes to a lot of things. But please, if there is one thing I'm sure of, is that I don't want anyone else. Not anymore. You're all I think about, seriously, it drives me crazy. Tanaka groaned, rubbing his face, feeling frustrated at himself, feeling as if he didn't express his emotions enough. Tanaka took hold of Ennotana's hands, placing one on his chest. Ennotana could feel how fast it was beating, making him realize how fast he was as well. It's yours. I'm yours. Please, just you, Chikara. Tanaka's face softened, expression filled Ennotana's stomach with butterflies. It was sickening. But how can I be sure? I mean, she is her and me well Ima. Tanaka cut Enoshita off by pulling the hand that was resting on his chest. Their bodies collided. Tanaka guided Enoshita with a hand on his cheek, pulling him into a deep kiss. Their lips moved with passion barely moving. They stood pulling away from each other slowly. Be mine? Enoshita sighed, wrapping his arms around Tanaka's neck, holding him in a tight hug. There was no way he could look him in the eyes. I'm only yours, if you be mine. That's the deal I was hoping for. Tanaka whispered, pulling away from the hug. Enoshita still not making eye contact. Tanaka slightly turned Enoshita's chin with his thumb, making the boy look at him, his eyes only lingering on his for a few seconds. His face was flushed a deep red. Man, you're so cute. Tanaka tried containing the bubbling excitement. Tanaka pulled Enoshita into his chest, kissing the top of his head. He looked over to where most of his classmates were. They all looked shocked. Hinata's mouth hung wide, Kojima trying to shut it with his own shocked expression. The third years looked more proud anything than shocked.